What if one day you looked at your mother and knew, with absolute certainty, that she had been replaced? Not because she looked different, not because her voice had changed, but because she no longer felt real. This isn't science fiction. This is a neurological condition called Capgras Syndrome. Imagine sitting across from someone you've loved your entire life. You clearly recognize their face, the eyes, the voice, the familiar lines. Everything matches, but something is missing. That immediate warmth that used to rise inside you when you saw them is gone. Your brain expects a subtle signal to rise from deep within the limbic system, a signal that says, familiar, safe, mine. But there is silence. In Capgras syndrome, a person can consciously recognize a loved one, visually and intellectually, yet feel no emotional familiarity. The visual system works. The face recognition area of the brain, the fusiform gyrus, activates properly. But the pathway connecting recognition to the limbic system is disrupted. Now the brain faces a contradiction. Perception says, this is your mother. Emotion says, this is a stranger. And the brain hates contradiction. So it does what it always does. It creates a story to restore coherence. This isn't my mother. It's an impostor. V.S. Ramachandran argues this isn't madness. It's the brain trying to make logical sense of broken input. And then he asks a deeper question. What makes something feel real in the first place? Capgras syndrome reveals something profound. Perception alone is not enough. Reality requires an emotional signature. Without that emotional stamp, even the people you love can feel artificial. Now imagine the reverse. If disconnecting emotional circuits makes the world feel unreal, what happens when those same circuits become hyperactive? This is where Ramachandran turns to temporal lobe epilepsy, TLE. Some patients with temporal lobe epilepsy report extraordinary experiences just before a seizure. Suddenly, everything felt connected. I sensed an overwhelming presence. I understood a deep truth about the universe. For them, these moments don't feel like hallucinations. They feel more real than ordinary life. The temporal lobe is closely linked to the limbic system, the brain network responsible for assigning emotional meaning. When this meaning circuit becomes hyperactive, ordinary experiences can become intensely significant. A simple object is no longer just an object. A passing moment is no longer just a moment. Everything feels charged with importance. If Capgras syndrome creates a world that feels underreal, temporal lobe epilepsy can create a world that feels hyper-real. And this leads to Ramachandran's bold insight. Perhaps mystical and religious experiences exist somewhere along this same neural spectrum. Not in the sense that they are false, but in the sense that they pass through identifiable brain circuits. He does not say that God is a hallucination. He asks, instead, if love has a neural circuit, if fear has a neural circuit, why wouldn't transcendence have one too? If stimulating the temporal lobe can evoke a sense of divine presence, what exactly is a religious experience? Capgras syndrome shows us that when the brain's emotional signal is silenced, reality cracks. Temporal lobe epilepsy shows us that when that same signal is amplified, reality can feel sacred. And somewhere between those extremes, the rest of us live.